Welcome to episode 5 of my Skyline R33 build. This being a shorter video than usual, but with slightly more detail. We show an old machining technique my father learned many years ago. All the valves and valve seats are getting machined. We are using a grinding stone to do both the valve and the valve seat. We show all necessary steps needed to bring the valves back to life. As I'm not chasing every single horsepower available, we do it the simple way. We did not port the head or widen the throat. Just a simple, clean, quick job done right. I hope others can find my videos and learn something just as I have. I have awesome things in store for future videos, so please sit back and enjoy the episode.
Alright, so what we need to do first before we cut the valves and the seats is put a valve in, yeah? And then we go down to, I'm holding the head of the valve into the seat with my finger. So where that main boss is there, that boss there, that big boss, we use that as a flat surface, and we'll push our verniers down until we just touch the end of the valve. 31.67. So if we take that out, we'll choose another one. We can use a couple of valves and choose a couple to just get an average, because they won't be all exactly the same. So up straight onto the boss, gently down to the end of the valve. 31.65.
The other one was 31.67, right?
Yeah, well I did a few and I got an average of 31.8, which I've written down. Yeah, because why we need to do that is because I don't know what the tolerance is on the lifters, but we've got to end up at that same measurement, because if we face the valve, which we will be, the valve is going to go, the stem will stick further out, yeah, and then when we,
because you're taking more material off here, right?
no, when we face the valve, the valve's going to go in deeper, and then when we face these with a stone, machine them, the valve's going to go in even further. Yeah. So the tolerance that the lifter has, we're losing the clearance, and we just want to end up at the same stem height when we finish.
So do you need to work out an average, or do you do it for each individual one?
Yeah, I've just worked out an average.
So, and that's fine. So you don't actually need to do it for each individual one.
No, just an average, and then we stick to an average. So we've done that. Put that down. I've chosen a couple of valves and buried them. So then,
where'd you go?
Around the seat.
So where's this tool? What shelf do you get this one from?
This is on the main workbench. So watch your eyes. Just enough to clean up the face, get a uniform finish on it. See the finish on that?
Nice.
Compared to the other one? Doesn't work on it, so this is easier than fixing the pump. Just needs a whisker. Serve it across the face so we don't get a low spot on the stone.
So does this usually have a pump that will lubricate this surface?
Just have a pump, so you're going to have that coming straight down onto the stone.
Oh yeah.
But look, I use it that once in a blue moon, so it's not worth spending the money to fix it. Stop the rusting. And then the exhaust. This is adjustable, so it's got to stop so you can sit the valve further back or forward depending on the size of the valve.
Yeah.
So every time you put a valve in and you wind it through, you're always in the same position.
Yeah.
It's got to stop so it doesn't go too far forward. Usually the exhaust that'll be out more than the inlets that have been here out, just because of the heat. Like brand new. Soluble oil that usually is mixed with this water, or when the pump is working there's a soluble oil solution, so it not only keeps the valve cool, but it lubricates and just makes the finish. See, you can see there, you can just see those little tiny wee black fragments. That's because it needs a little bit more. Last thing we do, see the end of that stem?
Yeah.
Just give that a little bit of a touch. Anti-rust.
Smells like shit.
Alright, so now for our cow.
What's that?
This is stone. See.
Oh yeah. Oh, that bit.
So what I'm going to do now is paste that stone . Yeah, there's a little bit.
gives off a very distinct smell.
Yeah. A bit more. So that is giving us, facing that stone on there, gives us the identical angle to what the valve has done.
Okay. See what you're talking about.
So we carefully put a bit of oil down the guide. So you can see around the edge of the seat, see those little black spots? So we've got to cut them out. A little bit more. You can see how clean that seat is now.
Yeah, compared to the other
There's one tiny little spot left. I'll just give it another whisk. Engage it properly. See, just on the bottom edge of that clean seat, you see those little black specks. That's because it's got little burn marks in there. A little bit more. And it's gone. There's you know, you hear about a 3-angle valve job. Well, the new cutters today will do 3 cuts in one cut. So as the cutter comes down, it'll clean the seat face up, and it'll also cut a bit of the top off, and it'll do a 70-degree cut on the throat. So it'll maintain a certain width of seat and face the top and the bottom at the same time, and there's a stop adjustment so you can make every single one identical. You can't with this. This is pretty old, you know. This technology is like 40 years old or more. But you know, and guys talk about a 3-angle valve job. Well, you know, it's like you go and without cutting a big fat wide seat, which is what we don't want. You know, they talk about a 3-angle valve job like they're going to get a whole lot more horsepower out of it. Well, it's bullshit, because they don't. But it's still important to have a thin seat. You want a fairly thin seat for the inlets. Your exhaust seat, you want a slightly wider seat because it will dissipate the heat more. The inlet doesn't matter. The exhaust always a tad wider to dissipate the heat from the valve. So, say a very thin seat on an exhaust could tend to burn the valve out and or the seat a lot quicker than if you had a slightly wider seat, which will dissipate the heat.
Yeah.
But You know, if you're building a race car and you're trying to squeeze every single horsepower, well then you go to, you know, the minutest detail everywhere. Well, you don't need to do it for this.
Mm.
No, you still want it right, but you know, you don't have to go to the umpteenth
extreme
degree.
Yeah.
I can put a bearing glue onto the face of the valve without making too much and too thick, and then see how it's covered the entire face of the seat in glue?
Yeah.
Then I'll wipe this. If I pop this in, it should do the same with this, transferring that onto the you can see that marker right around the circumference of the valve where that bearing glue has touched it.
Mm-hmm.
So your seating that seating on there is pretty well
spot on with the valves.
Yeah, you know, guys used to and still can do lap them in with paste. Don't need to with this.
What do you mean lap them in with paste?
With a grinding paste, so they'll get a stick with a suction cup to put onto the end of that.
Mm.
Put some grinding paste on that, put it in there, and then they twirl the stick around, lift it up and twirl the stick around, and it'll grind. It's grinding that into the seat, so it'll get a perfect seat. Well, we don't need to do it. We've already got one.
Mm.
The angle is identical because we faced that on the machine at the same angle as the valve.
Yeah.
And because it's such a good fine finish on both, we're done.
And
so, because we took so little off, the head of the valve is still well above the seat. The seats are not too wide to be a concern. They're okay. We'll try and get the inlets fairly narrow if we can, but these exhausts, yeah, I'm happy with them. But what we'll do later, we'll check every seat with the bearing glue. We'll take a couple of valves at random and just check them and just be sure that everyone is right. Right. You can see I've only just touched it. You can see little black bits of pitting in there.
Mm.
So we've got to keep going until we get that out. Doesn't need much. Touch more. It's pretty dandy.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, you don't need the newest and most expensive tool to do the job right. In the next few episodes, we'll be installing the new valve stem seals, the valves and springs. We will also show the side injectors and Walbro fuel pump installation. I thank you for the support and for watching my build. Please like and share this video. I'll see you guys later.